Good morning, YouTube people. How are you all doing? It's Saturday morning, and as you can see from the jumper and the scarf, it's quite cold. I've resisted putting the heating on this morning, although we did have it on last night. Yeah, it's cold. It's quite chilly. Paul's been down to the plot to do some watering, and I know he's got another video lined up for you, which he's working on at the moment. And I've got some really good footage of the fox and its family, and I'm going to show you that shortly. I got some really good pictures, some really good video pictures of them all together playing in the garden, in the back garden. So I guess this video is a little bit about the foxes, because I'm not going to lie to you, it does actually make me feel a bit anxious having those animals in the garden. And I've sort of been thinking about it and why it makes me anxious. Because yeah, you know, on the face of it, they're lovely creatures, you know, it's absolutely lovely to have them and to see them in the garden. It really is. But I've got all sorts of anxieties attached to that. And I know it probably, to some people, it probably seems a bit childish. But to be honest with you, I've always been the same, even as a child. I really disliked watching wildlife programs because inevitably you get all the beautiful pictures and then you get the prey and the hunt and all of that. You know, I know that's how predators survive. You know, I understand that, but I don't like watching it. And even now, I don't really watch wildlife programs. Even though I love wildlife, I don't watch them. They get to the point where they'll say, "But this time, they weren't so lucky." And you know what's going to happen. It's going to get killed. This beautiful, sweet creature that you followed is going to get killed. I don't want to see that. I really don't want to see that. And it's mainly because, and I've probably got an issue or a problem with this, the images stick with me and I really have difficulty not thinking about it. So the past few days here have been a little bit anxious, you know, because this family of foxes are in the back garden. They're clearly quite young, but getting to the stage where they're venturing out. And I've read up about, you know, the life cycle of foxes and what happens. And they do eventually leave the mother and they become more solitary and they forage and, you know, they look for food. But we're in London and inevitably they're going to get hit by a car. You're going to see them 6 months later hobbling around. In fact, you'll see on the video, I think the mother has had an accident at some point because she's limping. You know, they eat rubbish and, you know, I've seen foxes really, really damaged and injured, hobbling around with, you know, all sorts of horrible scars. And it's quite distressing, you know, I find that distressing. We had a dead fox in the garden quite some time ago, a good few years ago, on New Year's Eve, and had to get the council to come in and take it away because there was no way I was going to pick it up and move it to the road, because they'll remove animals, dead animals, from the road without any charge, obviously, because it's their responsibility. But if they remove it from your home, from your garden, it costs, well, it used to cost £20. It probably costs £50 now. So I know all the stuff associated with having foxes in your garden, and generally it's not very nice. But I am an animal lover. I love to see them, which is why I videoed them. My instinct is, of course, to raid the cupboards, see if there's any leftover cat food that we've got from when we had the cats, and feed them. That's my instinct. But the educated part of me says, no, you're not allowed to do that, really, because they will come to rely on the food and will make a right mess in the garden. If any of you have never had foxes or encountered foxes, they absolutely stink. Well, their excretions stink very badly. We had a situation a few years ago where a fox had done its business in the front garden. We literally spent all morning hosing everything down, and we made a tea tree solution to spray around to kind of A, to disinfect the area, and B, to ward them off because they don't like the smell of tea tree. And it was really disgusting because the smell was coming into the house through the air bricks, and it was really, really unpleasant. I mean, gag unpleasant, that bad. So also, the other thing that they've done is they've been playing in the garden and they have flattened several plants. Luckily, they haven't flattened any ferns because the ferns will not recover. Once a fern has put its new growth on, its new fronds, that's really kind of all you get. You don't get much more that season. So if they flatten the ferns, that's the ferns ruined, and I've got quite a lot of ferns and I love them. So it's kind of annoying as well. I want them to be in a safe space, but they're going to flatten everything. So I did go out yesterday at one point and I shooed them. I shouted and moved my arms around, which apparently is part of the humane eviction strategy that you can employ. So I went out, shouting and waving my arms around, and I noticed this morning they're in next door's garden. I can hear some of you probably saying, well done, you've just shifted the problem to your neighbour. Well, we're in London. We're all living, close quarters to each other. So what's my problem is a neighbour's problem too. And also, our garden isn't fully enclosed. There are some open borders. And I kind of like it that way because hedgehogs, for example, need to be able to cross gardens and borders to do their foraging, to move around as they do. And I guess it's probably similar for foxes. They need to move around too. And I have read on the internet that the vixen will move her cubs around to a couple of different sites if she feels threatened. So it is normal for them to do that. They will also use places that have been previously used by foxes to, build a little den. And I think that's what's happened in the back garden. I think they're behind the shed or under the shed. So foxes have been there before. We will be getting rid of that shed eventually. We will probably discover the space that they've been using under the pear tree, probably, which is where the shed is. It's wonderful, it's sad, and it's also annoying all at once. That's my experience of having foxes in the garden. It's a mixture of different emotions. And I do get anxious because also I don't want I don't really want to find a dead cub in the garden. And there is a runt, definitely, which, may not survive. Who knows? So there you go. That's the update on the foxes. I also wanted to say before I go, thank you very much to my new subscribers. I've got a few new subscribers, which is great. Absolutely excellent. Thank you very much. And thank you to everybody else that has subscribed to my channel. I'm glad you're enjoying it. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. You hit the subscribe button. And also don't forget to hit the notification bell, which means you'll get notified when I post a new video. So have a look at the delightful footage of the foxes, and I hope you enjoy it. Bye for now. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye.